Lisandro Martinez will be back, most likely for the Brentford game, confirmed the boss Erik Ten Hag in his pre-match press conference ahead of our return to our race for top four. Welcome to the United Sport. My name is Webb, and reminding you to subscribe if you haven't, because it's only getting better and exciting. We need to be up at 10K by the time we get into the summer transfer window. But let's focus on the football for now. Guys, listen. So Licha the Butcher, I hinted about it here before, but the boss now comes and sort of confirms what I largely expected, that Lisandro Martinez is most likely going to be available to play against Brentford. Of course, he wanted to keep his cards a little bit to his chest, not trying to confirm entirely that he will be starting and all, but he made it clear that Lisandro Martinez is 99% going to be in the squad for the Brentford game. Well done, Licha. Well done, Licha. Now, guys, you might wonder why we celebrate Licha, yet we've got so many injuries at United. Of course, we all know his skill is different. It's at a different level. But the most important thing, like Erik Ten Hag himself confirmed in this one, is that Lisandro Martinez's calmness and his energy that he passes around the team are so important to how we play. So when he's on the pitch, everyone is a whole different elephant. So we do miss our elephant. And when he does return, trust you me, it's going to lift us up high a notch as we do get into that game. Now, he also hinted on Harry Maguire, saying that Maguire too is likely to be available in the squad, which I think is another thing we should be celebrating, because we do know that without Johnny Evans, without, of course, Lisandro Martinez before, without Johnny Evans, who is also a doubt before coming into this game, you obviously want to have Harry Maguire in there. Maguire is not just important as a player who starts and plays well in the defense. He's important too when we get in the hard times. He has scored an important goal when we are trying to chase a game, if you do recall. He has element. We saw him play as a striker at some point. He gives us depth when it comes to set pieces. So Maguire is an important player for Manchester United if you're going to have anything, because you want players who will get you goals, who have got a chance to get you goals in all forms and formats. So for me, Harry Maguire is a very important footballer, at least for now, in whatever we're chasing. If he's fit, I think it's a big positive update for us. So let's wait and see. Of course, we do know that if Lisandro Martinez is fit and ready to start, he will be starting together with Rafael Varane in the central defense, or even probably Erik Ten Hag can shock you and start Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire. So that's how important this player is. There can be a debate about him, but even if Lisandro Martinez is not at 100% to start the game, Harry Maguire being there gives us an option to play with Rafael Varane. So either way you look at it, we should be celebrating Maguire's return as well. Now, another player, very important player to how we play, very important player in this stage is Casemiro. Now, Ten Hag did not want to commit on Casemiro because, of course, the second part of his press conference, he's believed, of course, to give that update. But Casemiro too is likely to be back in the team. Now, you all know how we struggle without Casemiro. To be honest, it was a surprise how we managed, how we coped without Casemiro against Liverpool. I think, again, takes you back to the fact that when we are playing a big game, we are all psyched up for the game. But the reality is, we are worried. We are all a little worried about who is going to shield us if we do not have Casemiro in there. But of course, with Kobbie there and the way Erik Ten Hag sort of played with him and Scott McTominay, you want to give the bosses credit for that. I thought really we applied ourselves so well, and we didn't look like we needed Casemiro at all. And you honestly think that even if Casemiro were not fit, because I remember the last time Casemiro was out for some games. When he returned, he came off. He did not actually play the game. He was just sitting on the bench. But of course, that was after him being out for a long time. Probably this time he can't be able to come in and go straight into the team. Of course, then you can debate: is now Scott McTominay going to be pushed out? Yet we do know that this is his team. Brentford is his team. Should we leave him on the bench and hope that he can do the same things he did off the bench, when in the reverse fixture? Or should he be there in the middle, mix it up with Casemiro, and sacrifice one of the forwards? Most likely, Marcus Rashford, who for me is the weakest link. That's of course a debate later we shall have in the live show. But Casemiro returning gives us a big boost because Casemiro slows them down. Casemiro is always going to slow the opponents down smartly. I was worried when he had just returned. I remember the game against West Ham. I was worried that he was a little threatening to get a red card. He was a little nasty a bit. I think probably because he was not fully fit. But that was after a player being out for long. You expect it that if players come so fast at you like they always do in the Premier League, they might overwhelm you and you might be forced into falls perhaps you didn't want. But I think this injury that he has had that has kept him out now is not as bad as that was. And I don't expect him to be panicking upon return. So I'm sure he will slow down the game without conceding unnecessary cards, which for me is important because the reality is we can't afford to have a player on a red card now. We cannot afford. I think the last red card we need to have until the end of the season is that with a man, not even a direct trade as well, but he's sitting out of the game. That's the last one we should be thinking of because we do need these important players back for this final marathon that we are having, the final part of the marathon, the final race. So Casemiro back in the team, big boost, creating of course more opportunities for Erik Ten Hag and more ideas. Now Ten Hag also in his press conference spoke about he had to be asked about Kobbie Mainoo and his debut for him for England, and he said, we were impressed, but we are not surprised because they gave the boy his first chance at the club. He has been seeing him. The moment he arrived at Man United, he saw a different player in this boy. Everyone saw a different player. Johnny Evans, upon arrival on the first day. So for those who work with him, even if for me, who is not there to watch Kobbie train, if I wasn't surprised by the kind of debut he had, then how do you expect Erik Ten Hag, the guy who saw him first and gave him the chance for me to see him, to be surprised? So I think Mainoo, the one thing that stands out with him is being able to perform under pressure. So he says, Erik Ten Hag, that Kobbie Mainoo's performance is not a shock, it's not surprising, it's good for him, but it was expected. And they like how he can handle the pressure and the fact how he adapts easily to playing at the high footmost level. This is only an 18-year-old kid. I think there's nothing more we are left to say about Kobbie. We should just keep repeating the same thing when it comes to him. Now, on the general players, Erik Ten Hag says that the reality is players have performed. It's been a good international break to go into because it's good to go into an international break with players performing well. It's good to go into that break with your players having a win against Liverpool the way it was, the kind of well applied victory it was, a very emotional game. It's good for them to take that into the break, but it does, concede that the international break sort of killed the momentum we had built. And honestly, I felt the same as well. But again, it goes back to how now he handles the players to psych them, to get the psych back up and put on a performance clause. I don't expect them to play as well as they played against Liverpool, honestly. I would be shocked if they did. It's what I would love to do. Maybe individuals, but the whole collective, I think the psyche is always going to be different. You're not psyched to play Liverpool the way you are against to play Brentford. It's just a natural thing. With Liverpool, you are a whole different elephant. But or Lion. But I expect them to try at least to do certain things they did in that game right. For example, the way we started and how we are playing and putting passes together, how we are bold and aggressive. And because this Brentford team is the kind of team that can, at home, that can come and try to boss us around. So I think for me, if we can do that, then we are good to go. That's a very important thing. At least those are the elements I want to say us build on from that game. There's a lot we can build on. Of course, he speaks about the setback in killing the momentum, but also the fact that different players were going into different systems of play and all. And obviously, it can sort of affect them in a way. They can be a bit affected by that, but he says he believes we will be ready to get back to thinking and playing and reasoning and applying and executing like Man United wants to execute, like players want to execute in under him, like he wants them to execute under him. So there is a big hope. I mean, guys, this is Brentford. Whereas they beat us 4-0 the last time we were there, I think honestly times have changed. We were able to come from behind and miraculously beat them in the reverse fixture. But also, I think now we should be in a whole different frame that we can't afford to lose points against a team like this. These are not points we can afford to lose, to be honest, in all fairness. This is a must-win game because if we don't, we are going back to square one. So that's the quick update on our situation. Of course, reacting to the press conference of Erik Ten Hag, he also finally spoke about Luke Shaw and saying that he believes there is a chance that we could be having Luke Shaw back before the end of the season. Beautiful news to hear, but honestly, I want to see Luke Shaw fit. I want to see him fit and part of the team. We need a natural left back in the team when his fit is good. But I honestly don't want to raise my expectations of him because I think for me this is a circle that might not stop now. He will be back and off again. But the nature of injury he has, I think for me, is really bad. It's one of those injuries that gets red. You become okay, but when you get back to those highest levels, it's almost the same thing. So I don't think he's one player I do want to focus on a lot to excite me because clearly his injury is insane. It's sad, but it's a reality. My name is Webb. This is the United Hotspot. That's it for me. It's the press conference reaction ahead of our trip to Brentford. And let's hope it all goes well. Guys, I'll be back at night with the night show as we get into the Pro Bowl starting 11. Subscribe.